Hello everyone, this is Natnarf signing in, and I know this will be a very odd video for you to look at, or audio. I do not have my intro, I do not have my exit, I don't have my ending credits. You will be able to know this, and you've seen since I just started off the bat with my voice. I can't really record anywhere. I'm next to the aquarium, just next to me. I'm in front of the computer. My daughter's still sleeping in our room, and the electric fan is bouncing off the walls at its maximum energy, maximum capacity. Never mind. Let's just go to what I really want to say today. As you may have noticed, my videos just stopped uploading. I've stopped uploading videos. I've stopped putting out AMVs. Not because I want to stop, no. It's not because I want to stop. I've had tons of videos recorded, game videos recorded. I just haven't gotten to edit them because I was so focused in trying to make a DMV, like a Disney music video or animated music videos. I just call it DMVs because most of the movies I've put into my music videos are usually Disney related, unless it's a cartoon other than Disney or an animation other than Disney created. I would just put it AMV. But otherwise, I normally make these, and I was very heavily invested in this one video a few weeks ago. And the title of this and the song would have been by the song is from see, I can't English anymore. The song is by Ava Max, I don't know how to pronounce her name in other places. Ava Max, Kings and Queens, recently released music in the States, maybe 3-4 months ago. I don't know. I can't be up to date anymore because I'm still struggling. And I was doing that work. I was doing that AMV. I would have been done editing subtitles on it. I would have been done with it. I would have done also a second video. I would have done 2-part videos of the Kings and Queens AMV music. Yeah. Unfortunately, something that has always been happening to me ever since we had our first computer. Ever since we've had the very first computer, the first CPU. It has done the same thing to me again. Let me start from the beginning. I know this will be a very long, boring talk, and I would have been able to put annotations here, I would have been able to put words in which timeline where I would tell you to skip and forward to what part of this audio. But unfortunately, I cannot edit it here. I cannot edit anything as of this moment. But here, let me start from here. When I was probably 9, 10, 11, I can't remember exactly what age. 8, 9, 10, 11, I can't remember what age exactly. We were still in the city. I was still living in the city from when I was born until maybe 8, 9 years old. Can't remember. I was born. Okay, I'll say where. I was in Causeway Bay. I was in Hong Kong. I lived in Causeway Bay when I was from from I was a baby until 8, 9 years old. I lived in Causeway Bay in the city in Hong Kong, on Hong Kong Island, and we didn't have very much back then. We only had a TV, those big, heavy, bulky televisions, and we had this VHS record player, and we only had, let's say, 4 channels at that time locally. We didn't have any international channels. Those are during the 1990s. Back then, my only source of entertainment was watching TV. Watching Chinese drama, Cantonese drama, let me be specific. Cantonese spoken Chinese drama. That's where I usually spend my time watching. I'm a Filipino, born Filipino in Hong Kong, but the only languages I grew up when I was small was English and Cantonese. Let me just clarify that in case some people are confused. I didn't know Filipino, I didn't know Tagalog when I was small. Tagalog. Just in case some people are going to criticize my accent also. Because my accent was, learning languages, I didn't have anything specific telling me that I should stick with this way, I should stick that way, I should stick my accent this way and that way, blah blah blah. All I know is that what I hear in my ear, I'll just absorb that and use that and say it this way and say it the way I can, where anyone else can understand my language, my accent, my words. I didn't know anything about computer games. Just up to that point, I never had computer consoles, PSP, Nintendo, or whatever. What's the old games? GBA. What do you call those? I didn't have any of those old games, whatsoever. Even though every time I passed through every Toys R Us or toy store that features all these gaming consoles to small kids back then, we didn't have any of those things. We didn't know about any of it. The only thing I knew about technology back then was cell phones, Nokia cell phones, those really old Nokia cell phones, Motorola, the old Motorola's with the flip, and Windows 98 computer, Windows 98, Windows 2000 computers. That's all I understand growing up. Even in school, the only time we touched a computer, and I knew that's technology or techie related, was in computer class, IT class. We call those IT class back then in primary school or elementary school. What do you call those? See, I can't English anymore. When we're small, we also moved houses to houses. Houses to houses. See, my English is not that perfect, so please don't pick on me. Oh my god, please! I'm gonna start doing Cantonese if I get picked on for my English accent. And no, I can't speak Putonghua that greatly. I failed all my Putonghua classes since I was a kid. So yeah, don't make me talk. We moved from house to house. By the time we actually got our first personal home computer, that was 98. It was when we moved to another location because we couldn't afford to pay rent anymore in our old house in Causeway Bay. We moved to another location in Shaoqi 1. The reason we chose that place there was it was near to a church that we were attending to at that time. And it was necessary that we had to be near to it. We were fortunate that we got a bigger place, a bigger area, because back then in Causeway Bay, we only rented out a room. Maybe some of you experience this, but people used to rent bedroom space. And our flat in Causeway Bay, there used to be about 4 occupants, or 4 family occupants in that one flat. And our room was the only one that had a family, for 2 adults, 2 children. No pets, no other things, but our belongings used to be placed everywhere. And the rent, just for bedroom space alone, wasn't cheap. It was about 10,000 Hong Kong dollars back then. My parents had to work day and night. My mother had to work night shift, my father had to work morning shift, just to be able to get enough income to pay for the rent and our electricity bill and our electric share and our water share. Yeah, so all 4 room occupants had to share the kitchen, the toilet, the living room, apart from the rooms. And one time, my father lost his job. We asked to extend the pay, but the rent owner did not want to wait. We were never late for rent before, and this was the only time that we couldn't pay for that 1 month. And our rent owner is not generous or not kind enough to wait, and told us to move out immediately. And we moved to Shaoqi 1. And there we started. It's also $10,000 in Shaoqi 1, but it was the first time we had that was a whole flat that we could rent out. So in that whole flat, it was the first one that we had that it was the most spacious living space area, and that had 3 rooms. So you can imagine our faces when my sister and I could finally have our own bedroom each, or when we thought we could have our bedroom each. But unfortunately, as per tradition, in the Filipino family, I don't know if it's for every Filipino family, but for us it's always this case, that one room has to be used as a storage space for any extra things that we had. So I had to share with a room with my sister. No problem. I had bunk bed. First time we had bunk beds also. Steel metal frame bunk bed. My parents' the other room. The living room was huge. I think it was the only time and the only place that you can be able to find such a huge living room area. Huge living room / dining room. Although the kitchen and the toilet is still ridiculously small, no matter what house we move into. The kitchen and the toilet is always small. And the toilet and the kitchen, maybe about, you can fit about 2 or 3. It's about the size of it's about the size of being able to put 2 or 3 refrigerators in side by side, I think. So it's never a very big kitchen, never a very big toilet. So we always have small ones. We never got to experience a bathtub. We never had bathtub. We've always had shower heads. And at that time, when we moved there, my sister finally had her first GBA. I think it's GBA. Game Boy Color console. I can't remember. See, I'm so bad. She had finally got a GBA. Game Boy Advance console. Now, just because she's younger than me, so at that time I was too much focused on sleeping and eating anyway, so I didn't felt the necessary desire or need to have a console or a gaming console in my hand. And remember, I still don't know other gaming consoles devices at that time that existed. I only know that was the only new introduced thing into our lives. The GBA and a computer. Where we finally got a computer. That was also the place that we first finally had a computer, which was built by my friend, same age as us at the time, maybe around 10 years old, 11 years old. We finally had the very first computer built by our 10 or 11-year-old friend. And at that time, 500, how much memory was it? Was it 500? Probably 500 gigabytes. That's it. 250 each drive. C drive and D drive. 250 gigabytes each drive. That was a lot already back then. And I had I had the joy of playing some computer games, which is not really a gaming game. It's just like those educational games, like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, Maths 1-3. I think it's called Maths 1-3. Cusco's New Groove. I think Emperor's New Groove. Excuse me. Perfect. That's disgusting. Little Big Adventure 2. I remember we had Little Big Adventure 2 as well. Secret Agent Barbie. Yes, that one. I kept playing that every day after school, but I was bored to death. I think that's pretty much it. We didn't have a lot. I mean, we really didn't have a lot back then. And well, even the computer, it cost us to pay a lot to have that assembled as well, because we didn't know where's the best computer we could get. And that computer, I kept hogging it a lot for a kid. It was one of the first things that I had my hands laid on a technology where I knew I could touch it without having to bother other people's personal computers. Ow. My headphones. Right now I'm speaking through my Bluetooth headphones as well, so this is what I've been reduced to, from my computer to my headphones to my cell phone. Starting all over again. And what those ones? We didn't last a year because we suddenly also had financial difficulty. My father wasn't able to get a permanent job because, let's face it, back then they didn't like Filipinos working in their places. As soon as they see a Filipino, they think, oh, it's a domestic helper. No, my father and my mother we all became permanent residents in Hong Kong when we signed a quick shortcut way in 1997. Normally you have to wait 7 years to get a permanent resident document, blah blah blah. But we were fortunate that during the handover in 1997, we were able to apply for that and we got permanent residency ASAP. No more further waits, no more further comments? I don't know. So as we got kicked out again, we moved to, and this is my first time hearing it as a kid too. I only knew Hong Kong Island. My brain wasn't that big at that time as well. My brain only knew of Hong Kong. Hong Kong was the world. There was no other. Hong Kong is Hong Kong. Hong Kong is the world utopia. I'd never seen a world map. Yes, I went to school, I went to library, but I've never seen a book that had a world map. So I never knew that Hong Kong was just a dot in the world map. It's just like a speck, like bacteria, a small little dot, a speck on a map, on a I don't know what's the word, but on the picture we're just a dot. We compare Hong Kong and the Philippines. Hong Kong is just a dot. You know, like www dot, that kind of .com. Okay, but and then we were moved out again. So and then the first time I heard, I apparently didn't know that my father had found a place already in advance. And it's called, it was called, let's get the new education here. It's Lantau Island. Yes, Lantau Island. We had to take a boat. We had to take a 1 hour boat. 1 hour boat. 1 hour ride ferry boat. Non-aircon. So we're sweating in the heat. We're sweating in the heat. We're drenched in our I can't English. We're drenched in our sweat for 1 hour. All the way from Hong Kong Island Central to Lantau Mui Wo. If only they told me that in the first advance that I would be sweating for 1 hour on the boat. I would have brought 3 shirts. 1 is not enough. I need 3 because I sweat heavily. We got to Mui Wo. Took a bus, maybe 10 minutes from Mui Wo to a little private village, small private village-ish called Puyo. Back then, it was very private. Nobody knew about Puyo. Nothing. Nada. Only a handful of villagers live in Puyo. A handful of Chinese and Filipino and I can't remember if it's British villagers lived in Puyo. Just a small handful. And I loved it in Puyo. Don't get me wrong. I complained about the ferry, but I love the village. I only found out then that my grandparents had moved to Muiwa because there's a government building, and there's a governmental scheme for elderlies who are in retirement years who cannot afford to work but really need a place to live, and they don't have enough money and they're not rich enough. They don't have like backup money in a bank account or something, and so there's a government building for government schemes for government buildings for elderlies to live in. And my grandparents moved there. My father's side's grandparents moved there. And it wasn't big for my grandparents, the flat they live in. It wasn't that big, it was just enough for them. Now, if you look at an island, island villages home. In Muiwa, in Puyo, Taio, Tongfok. Oh, they were all cute. Sure, it's a 3-level story house. 3-level story house, and it wasn't as big as our home in Shaoqiwan, our flat home in Shaoqiwan. But it was cute. It's like one of those little homes that you see in TV where you can see all those kids living in American home. It's like That's So Raven. that was my cartoon at the time. That's So Raven, or Eddie, or Courage the Cowardly Dog. Oh, what's that other one? Doug. Hey Arthur. Augie and the Cockroaches. Pokemon. Digimon. It wasn't like that big, but it was like that kind of living environment, even though it's per flat and not on the ground. We had the beach there. It's secluded from the rest of the world. And the beach, I mean like the village beach. It was big. It's famous for clam picking. People go to beaches here in Lantau to get clams, to enjoy the sea, to enjoy the beaches. And the clams during that time, because not many tourists knew about Puyo, all that land. They only know Changsha Beach, which is in the Hong Kong side. And the clams here in Lantau Island, they're massive, they're huge. You could dig your hand into the ground, just shove one time, you pull out and there's like a big clam, the size of your hand. The smooth surface kind, back then when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, it was a big ass clam. Sorry for the language. It was big. The size of your hand, adult hand. So imagine my small little 11-year-old, 10-year-old hands. When I dug my hand into the sand just for no apparent reason. I was told not to stick my hand in the sand. Because we didn't know. We were just passing through the sea, the place, the island, to see if it was suitable. I think it's suitable. It was to see what they had, because it was our first time. My sister and my first time there in Puyo. My parents had came before and seen the island, to see the house. And when we got to the beach, I just, for no apparent reason, I shoved my hand in the sand and pulled out a clam. Like, wow, what's this alien thing? And apparently, for the next hour later, we had a big bucket. I don't know where the bucket came out from, but we had a bucket full of baked clams. And that was our dinner and the whole meal, all 3 meals for the next day. And it was about that big size hand. If you're an adult, full male adult, and you have your hand is really big, hold that hand, don't hold that clam in your hand. And then you imagine my small little stubby hand right there. Small kid hand there. You can imagine my face. I was like, what is this big thing? And yeah, we lived in Puyo. We moved house again 3 times in Puyo. The first 2 years of our stay in Puyo, we moved twice. I know it should be 1 year, one house. We move once 1 year, but our house, the first house, did not make it a year before we moved again. And then at that time we were studying. My sister and I were studying that small little local school in that area. Not more than 100 students, I think. It's not a big school. It's just really small. It's just a school meant for Puyo students, Puyo children, island children. Not meant for city children. And yeah, that school was really small. And there was a social worker there. I normally frequently sent off there to talk to because we had financial difficulty. My father still couldn't find a job. After we moved to the island, and my mom's still working night shift in restaurants. The salary wages are for restaurant and like that started to get lower and lower in income. I don't know why. You'd expect it to go higher, but it suddenly went lower. And then the social worker in my school knew about our situation. Like she knew. I don't know. I was still a dumb kid at that time, but I didn't know how she knew. I didn't know that parents sent in when they sent in the registration forms for the children, that it'll show all these things. This financial thing, the occupation of parents. I didn't have to read those papers before. I didn't have to read and sign those and write those papers before, so I don't know nothing. I didn't know that social workers, the teachers and principals knew about all these things. See, that's how oblivious I was to the rest of the world and the rest of everything. And see, this is not very, very well thought out discussion video. If I had the computer intact, I would know how to lay it out. Perhaps I should have done it in paper, but I would have not known how to lay it out properly. I would have been able to see my notes on screen. But alas, I am very dumb. I am still sad. Okay. The social worker knew at that time. Her name is, we call her Wong Kula. Wong, Miss Wong. Wong, her surname. Kulang, like nurse or social worker. Young maiden. Translation. So Wong Kula. She knew about her situation, and then she told my father that she had a room to rent. Sorry, I was really interrupted as I received a phone call from the mailman. They said they're on their way to deliver a package, which I don't remember ever ordering or having anything to be sent to me from or by. I don't really have any money, so I don't know what is being delivered to me. So I'm right now just waiting for the package to come over. I was cut off during. Yeah, I was cut off during the. I'm just waiting for him right now to come over, so I will get cut off again any moment. Yeah, our social worker in the primary school heard about their dilemma or their financial difficulty, and they told us that her family owns a room to lease, and then we took the offer, and that was when I was in primary 5 in Hong Kong. Called primary school, primary 5. In other places, maybe you call it grade 5, 5th grader, I think. I don't know. In Hong Kong, we call it primary 5. Schooling system before was much different. in Hong Kong than it is now. So it'll be more confusing as I continue, but this will make sense. And so primary school, so elementary school, you have 6 years, and I was in 5th year, and she let us to rent her house, spare house, which there was another pair downstairs and another family downstairs and another family upstairs. So we're in Hong Kong terms we call it first floor. In other places maybe we call it the second floor, I think, because in the Philippines I was told that the ground floor is the first floor and the first floor is second floor. So here in Hong Kong, ground floor is ground floor, first floor is first floor, and we lived on the first floor. Now, first floor meant we have stairs, we don't have a lift, so yeah, we had to carry everything manually by labor. And me being a kid before, I'm quiet, but I love running outside. Despite my fatness, I was really fat at such a young age. I was chubby and fat. My sister, skinny. My parents are not fat, so there was the question of how I became fat. It's through potatoes. Yes, you'll be happy to know I got fat through mashed potatoes. Every morning, that was my breakfast when I was very young, from kindergarten up until primary 3 or primary 4. I had mashed potatoes every morning in a big steel bowl. We still have the steel bowl, so oh boy. But yeah. It's a big steel bowl. That's all to myself. Mashed potato in the morning. My sister, half of it, maybe 1/4 of that steel bowl. But I didn't know that was an issue before, being fat and being thin. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that when you're born this size, this is how you are. And yeah, we moved into my social worker's spare house. And it was that time only that we did not have to move at all. She was very understanding. My father couldn't get a job. My parents would have to always push 1 month forward. Had to keep pushing 1 month delay of rent. She didn't mind. She was patient. Even our electric bills and our water bills, they usually you get those bills in your mailbox. But because the building is owned by her, so all the bills goes directly to her place, and then when she gets them, she will come over to us and show us, oh, this is the bill, we have to pay this, we have to pay this within the month, but she already paid the bills, and so it's just our job to pay her back the amount written on the paper. And yes, she's always her family and her husband are always very patient with us. They didn't mind if we were 1 month delayed as long as we were able to pay. They knew we were able to pay. And we're also under government financial scheme. The Hong Kong government financial schemes wasn't introduced until 1990s. And that time when we heard about it, we immediately applied for it, and always safe, just safe every time we applied that. So every time we have money problems, we didn't have to pay for school necessities. My father was planning to stop our schooling for a year or two, but my mother even had it, and when she heard about the school subsidy, student financial subsidy thing, she immediately applied it for me, my sister and I, and we still got to go to school. And despite the fact that when we first came in October, in the beginning of my 5th year primary school here, I had a luggage instead of a backpack. So yeah, you can imagine how it looks like. I look stupid right off the bat. And yeah, we stayed there for a long time actually. So 5th year, I stayed there. 5th year, 6th, secondary one. I stayed there from my pre-primary 5 until I graduated in secondary school, which is secondary school here in Hong Kong, but in States or somewhere else you call it high school. Here we call it secondary, and back then, secondary school year system in Hong Kong was much different than now. So, secondary 5, I studied until year 5 in secondary school. Before, you had 2 options when you studied secondary school. But it depends on your public exam results as well. You can study until secondary 5, take the exam, make sure you pass all your public exams, depending what subject course you took from year 4 onwards. If you passed all your exams with A, 5-star plus marks, you can get into your secondary school directly. Into secondary school, and you have what do you call those things? Scholarships, yeah. Fully paid scholarships. For whatever school course you wanted to go to. In universities here in Hong Kong. Or if it's applicable, you can also go to abroad. And it'll still be maybe full grant. And of course it will be paid by the government. Unless you of course had money to begin with, then these scholarships you have no problem with scholarship money and scholarship whatever. So yeah. But yeah, when we moved in here to Lantau and to the primary school, it was at that time when SARS also broke out. So yeah, it wasn't as bad before. So we just had face masks on when we go to school, when we go to work. Nobody scolded us if we took off our mask. There was no penalty if we took off our mask in the middle of the day, middle of lesson in the middle of the classroom. Let's face it, when you wear a face mask, you're dying. Your lack of oxygen. And back then, my class especially, I don't know why, there's a weird gap in my class, but there's only, my class in year 5 was the only class that has the smallest amount of students. All the other classes, grade 1, grade 2, primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, primary 4, primary 6, they all had 20 plus, 30 plus children in each class. There's no AB, there's no 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, no, nothing. There's primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, blah, blah, blah. So there's only 6 classes in the whole school. And my class, P5, we only had 12 people. 12 people! 12! That was the worst! That was the smallest class! So I had to struggle harder to maintain my academic position in the report card. And half of that class is either Filipino or Chinese. There's only like a couple of students which is mixed or another nationality. Pakistan, half German. There's one that's really half German, half Chinese. If only I had the picture of him still in my hand. He was what you call Harry Potter. He's a legit Harry Potter lookalike. You don't count Daniel Radcliffe. Don't count it. Don't. Just chop him up. If you look at this guy, if you had this guy, he is the identical copy of Harry Potter. Straight up identical copy. And he's freaking tall. For our age during that time, in primary 5, he was tall. He had a wonderful English accent. He didn't sound German. He had perfect Cantonese accent, perfect English accent, perfect German accent. The English accent is like British accent. It was perfect. Sadly, he's a more rebellious person. He's a more creative, rebellious person. Artistically creative, but very rebellious. Rambunctious. It's rambunctious child. He's very tall. He's really tall for a primary kid. A primary 5 kid. 5th grader kid. But really tall. Handsome. He had the glasses too. He had the signature rounded glasses. As the timing was just perfect. It was really, really, really spot on. But sadly, they had Daniel Radcliffe first. But if they had found search harder, you would have looked for this guy. You would have had a taller Harry Potter. You would have had a taller height than Harry Potter. I don't know where he is now, but yeah. Wasted. And yeah, but I'm going off topic then. During this time, I still had the games in the computer. And it was the first time that the computer broke down. SARS pandemic, financial, so we couldn't afford a computer because we couldn't afford a brand new computer because of the financial. Where did I left off to? My phone keeps getting cut off by people calling on my cell phone. See, now the washing machine's also disturbing me. Thing. I'm finished washing, woman. Empty my mouth. This mouthwash tastes disgusting. Tastes like dirty laundry. Where did I left off to now? I'll just start off from what I think I remembered. Student grant. We have student grant every year. Since then, I had a weird luggage in the classroom. My sister and I were the only ones. The idiot that has luggage for a school bag because we didn't have money to even buy a school bag. Our uniforms were also secondhand. So I was very fortunate that somebody who was very bigger than me, to give me their uniform. And every day, my class apparently has the most PE classes ever. Normally have like once a week or twice a week PE. Apparently my class has like 4 days out of 5 that's PE. I wonder if it's because of me. If it's due to my bigness, that's why we had PE. Even when we got into year 6 grade school, we had PE 5 days. It's not my fault. If it's my fault, I'm sorry. But if it was my fault, but if it wasn't my fault, then why? We only had 12 students, 13 students max. Or was it 15 students? Well, we had the least number of students and we had the most PE out of all days. What are they trying to do to us? And our classroom, uniquely, our classroom was the only one that was oddly placed. Every other classes had classrooms. Heck, some of them before the school was fully constructed back into a proper size school. It was under construction back then, so the classrooms were divided weirdly out into different rooms. That's why I'm telling this now. Primary 1, primary 2 were near a greenhouse, I think. Primary 3, primary 4 were near the toilets. Public toilet facility. I don't know how they managed to fit a room there, but they did. And then there was a primary 6 classroom. They used a tank container. I think it was a tank container as a classroom. Just midway a path road near a farm, a local small farm, gardening farm, and the beach, the back entrance of the beach. Our classroom because we had small amount of people, we were designated, we were assigned in the computer room. Yes, so we were a lucky batch of idiots that had the computer room as a classroom. So when recess comes, we just turn in our seat, and next to us, just right in front of us, next to us, we just turned 45 degrees to the right or to the left, and we had a computer to use. So sorry for the other kids who wanted to use a computer at recess or lunch break. But we occupied the room already. Basically, we occupied the room before the kids could even get in, so sorry. And yeah, I'm going off topic. And it was that time Neopets was popular. MySpace, Friendster, Zanga.com. Those websites was very popular. And even Alfie, ALFY.com. It was like a Alfie.com was like a Disneyland kind of webpage. Or like a, what do you call that? Universal Studios kind of webpage, I think. I've never seen a Universal Studios webpage. But yeah, it looks like that. And we get first dibs on this page, and we always went on these social websites. And Facebook wasn't introduced yet. Facebook did not exist yet at that time. As you'll be surprised. And we had MSN Messenger. It is the pre-Messenger before before what do you call this? WebEx, WhatsApp, Skype. It is linked to an old email called Outlook. I think it's the system before Gmail. It's coexisted with Yahoo.com. And so emails were either Yahoo, AOL, or MSN, Hotmail even. And it was the first time in Primary 5 and Primary 6 I had learned more about computers and tech. And that's where I learned about PSP, PlayStation. I was envious. But I tried to learn in that small amount of time to my house computer, which had no internet whatsoever, and the school computer, which is to use the internet with the dial tone, dial-up setup. Before we had none of this broadbanding. We had to use the internet dial-up connection tone thing. I don't know how they did it, how they bear with it, but we bared with it, but we managed to use it. and just during this time that my computer, the brain broke down, we couldn't save any data on that first one because it was hard resetted. So everything that we had in that brain, even if it was 500 megabytes, gigabytes, even if it was just small, even if it's just small, we bared with it. We literally bared with it. We bared with that small little thing. And I was sad. Good thing at that time we didn't have anything precious saved in it. Because we didn't even know how to put photos or videos inside that thing. We just know how to play game. That was installed. We didn't know how to install anything else. We didn't know how to add anything else. The only things that were added by force was the Oregon Trail. There's an old version of the Oregon Trail, and I didn't know how to play it. I was scared to death because the first I logged in, the first day, the whole family died. If anybody's ever played that, the whole family died on the first day. and it played creepy sad music. I hated it so much. It played sad music. Why would you do this to me? I was devastated. It played sad music. My friend couldn't save it. The one who made the brain, the CPU, he couldn't save it. So he made us a new one, another one from scratch also. Exactly the same size memory. I was not happy because you could make other computer CPUs. Because in the church there's a computer shop as well, and they had made it into an internet cafe, and they managed to make all those computers about 1 terabyte memory big. That was already the biggest memory you can get. 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte at that time. That was the biggest you can make at that time. They couldn't even do that for me. We were willing to pay. They couldn't make it for us. Hey, what are your fishes doing hiding in the back? It's a turtle's house, man. Turtle's house. No, you don't go there. I'm fighting with a fish in an aquarium inside, next to me. Okay. And at that time, I was learning how to use Paint. If anybody had used Paint before in Windows, if anybody had done Paint before Photoshop, before what is this new what do you call that one? Paint tool Sai, any designing, any art related software. If you had Paint before, that was the main thing that I had. I used to make animated GIFs. I learned how to make GIFs. GIF. Blah, blah, blah. What in the world is happening to my mouse hand? Sorry, I have mouse hand running in the background as well. The Firefox, I think, is the only one I can open at this moment. Firefox, YouTube, I can watch through at this moment. I couldn't do it. I can't do anything else as of this. And I was learning what GIFs were in what do you call it? I was learning what GIFs were at the time. If anybody knew what if anybody knew Zanga, you had to make your own banner, you had to make your own avatar picture, you had to make your own. You can also design your own web page layout in Zanga. Everything, even the text, even the size, even the music, you can put up there as a background music or as a player list. Anything with HTML coding. I was fascinated by that. I didn't know anything about it, but I started learning everything every day in school, after school, because school usually ends at 3 o'clock before in the afternoon. I stayed after school to use the computer because that's the only place I can get internet. I learned everything about Zanga, layout design, with GIFs, the lossless format images thing that is animated and static, still images. I learned background coding. I learned that colors are not by letter but by number, like hashtag 00000, hashtag 01 something blah blah blah. I had to learn all this. I learned all that straight there, right there. My teacher's there in the room, and there's usually a frequent guy in the classroom, in the computer room, and the technician there in the classroom. We had a separate room just for technician assistants. They were always annoyed with me that I always kept coming back there instead of using my own computer. I said I didn't have internet at home, and there's no way we could afford or subscribe for the internet because it's expensive and you have to pay it for every month, and we cannot guarantee we can pay it every month on time. So the school is the next best thing. So, but then the closing time would usually be about 6:30 or 7 o'clock. And when they got annoyed with me, always frequently visiting me there, they shortened the time to 6 o'clock. I was like, okay, let's learn as much as we could here in the computer room in school. And when I continued on until primary 6, the school wasn't still finished building its structure. And when I finally got into secondary school, which is in Tongchong, I had to take the bus. I had to upgrade it myself from a 2-minute walking distance from my house to primary school downstairs, just down the hill, to taking the bus, commuting on the bus, taking about 40-minute drive or 40-minute ride on the bus to my high school or secondary school in Tongchong, which was a newly built school. A newly built school that finished 2003 or 2004. I enrolled there in 2004. And you call those year students 2004-2005 batch because the school starts in September and ends in May, June, or July, depending if there's any disasters happen. And thankfully at that time, SARS had miraculously vanished for an unknown reason, and we didn't even know the SARS was finished until we just said, oh yeah, we just throw the mask off. And I went to school there in YMCA. I don't know if it will be a bombard. It would be a burden, but right now I'm just going to say the whole name of the school. And it was that time, it's still a baby school. It's a new school. So not many students were there. Not many classes were there. So we had free reign of the school. I was in secondary 1. I was secondary 2 students. There was year 4 and year 5 students. So that's it. We had about 4-year classes there. And this may sound cheesy, but all the classes were divided by 4 classes. YMCA. Yeah. YMCA. 1Y, 1M, 1C, 1A. 2Y, 2M, 2C, 2A. Etc. etc. The only exemption was in Form 4 and Form 5. At that time, there was only 2 classes. They didn't have much students in. So there's only 4Y, 4M, 5M, 5Y, 5M. I don't remember if there were any Form 6 students. I probably were, but I wasn't paying attention. I didn't care about senior students back then. It was hard enough just climbing up the stairs to go to your classroom. With your heavy backpacks and your lunch bags in one hand. Staying there the whole day. School starts from 8 in the morning until almost 4 o'clock. Yeah, when I say almost, the school ends at 3:45. And you're not allowed to run out of the school building until it's 3:50. And at that time, I was still clueless about technology back then. And it was in Form 1, because it takes a long time and we're not nearby. So I finally had a first cell phone. Believe it or not, it's not a Nokia. No. My first phone wasn't a Nokia. My first phone was a Motorola. Ow! Really itchy. What happened to my nose? I don't remember exactly. I have to try and search it right now. What's there on my phone? Clicking. Okay, my old cell phone, apparently to the website here, my old Motorola happens to be a Motorola V. And it was a dark gray color. Yes, I know all of you are going, what? It was a Motorola V. Let's see if I can find the exact name of this. I know people at that time would have Nokia, the really nice Nokia, or the nice Motorola, the one with the shiny one. I think it's called RAZR. I think it is RAZR. Was it? Somebody's always kept saying razor. I never understood that term. I still didn't understand that term either. Let me see if I can find the exact wording. Okay, Motorola V3688. Oh, my hair stick. Yeah, that was my very first phone. And it had a small little recording button. It's a flip phone. It had a small recording button, and you can only store one recording item in the phone. So I would just store one music phone. I would record one song. And that was an old song. I was watching an old anime from the Get Backers music. The anime, the band. I recorded one old song from the anime series of Get Backers. Is it refrain? Was it refrain? Ichibi. I'm trying to search it right now. Ichibi no refrain. I can't. I can't Japanese. So yeah, it's the first song ending of the Get Backers animated series. I loved it. I still love Get Backers, by the way. I don't see the merchandises anymore for this. I used to have a very old poster for this, of this anime series when it came with those mangas. They used to sell $1 Hong Kong per poster, but ever since the shop manga closed, I couldn't buy it, and the paper unfortunately crumbled due to old age and bad maintenance, bad. I wasn't able to take care of it properly. I didn't know it would be hard to find in the future. But yeah, I had that poster, I had that music in my phone, and that was also my ringtone. So yeah, and that time, earphones was a must to sleep with, to listen to music, to answer. Well, I couldn't answer calls with earphones back then. There's no speaker mic inside on this earphone before. And I stuck through that with that cell phone through my 5 years of high school. Everyone started getting new phones, especially the rich kids. They started getting new phones. I forgot what's the name of that Nokia. There's a Nokia phone which my rich classmates kept showing off during that time. They kept showing off with that cell phone. Oh, we can flip this, we can extend this, we can record, we can picture. We had 1 or 2 classmates in each section, YMCA, that would show off their cell phones this way every time they came out of their classroom. Yes, I have to look for it. Maybe 2005. Let's see. There you go. What's the name of this one? I just saw the picture. 5300, 5300, Nokia 5300. That phone was the first of its kind where you can, I don't know, slide style with the music, with the video, with the camera taking. Next to the popular BB BlackBerry, this phone was in all the range, with among the rich students in the school, and they kept showing off this phone in front of me when they knew I had the old cell phone. They kept trying to brag with it. They go like, "Oh, I'm just next to this classmate, you know, the one that owns this old Motorola, this old Motorola V3688. Yeah, you know that one with also the weird backpack and always the weird hairstyle. Yeah, I had the weird hairstyle back then. Every year I changed from either a comb or a hair stick. A weird haircut. My hair stick is still it was still my tail hair comb. You know that kind. I use that as my hair stick because every time I tie my hair in the morning, it's wet. My hair was drenched from taking a bath. And it wasn't until nearly the end of my 5th year that I switched out my cell phone. Because my phone started malfunctioning, started breaking. I love that phone to death. I still kept the phone here. I never threw it out. It's not working anymore. I love that Motorola phone. And by the time, and I really need a cell phone. I couldn't just go without one. Because the teachers call me also. I don't want them to call students. And at that time, my phone was switched out. Itchy nose, for God's sake. Now, I don't exactly know the exact number brand of this cell phone. So it's either between, it's a Nokia. I switched it out to a Nokia, and it was cheap at that time. It was limited in number. We didn't know it was a limited number cell phone. We didn't know they would not mass produce it. We thought that it was just a new phone and it was cheap and it was at the right timing. And I bought it. It was the Nokia 6230i, or is it 6330i? It was a black phone with the silver front, black side, silver front. I did not know that I had the best cell phone, along with one other classmate who also bought the cell phone. We didn't know that at that time that was the most precious cell phone in the whole school. Maybe internationally or locally or technologically, it is not the best compared to the fancy cell phone. It's 5300. We didn't know that that time, that cell phone that I had, that was the cell phone that everyone wanted, and not many people got it. Only a selected few people in Hong Kong got it. If you showed it to other people right now, they will not remember this phone. They will not even know this phone existed. I didn't think I was ahead of my time. I didn't think I was ahead of my game in the cell phone. But I was seriously behind on computers and laptops. And at that time, the computer again, near primary 4, primary 5, the computer again broke down along with the memory. I had to start out from scratch, and thank goodness I had a spare couple of USB fingers. We call it Saozi, USB Saozi. In Hong Kong, it's called USB Saozi, USB finger. Yeah, direct translation. It's direct translation. Don't get me wrong, we didn't use real fingers. It's called USB Saozi fingers. Oh my gosh, me and my nose. We call it USB finger. We don't call it USB flash drive. We don't call it USB drive. We call it USB finger. In Chinese, it's literally called USB finger. I don't know to this day why is it called USB finger. Why did it not scare people until later on? But it was called USB finger. BlackBerry. Even people own BlackBerry. I only remember that. Even people own BlackBerry envied the Nokia 6230i. But yeah, and at that time, my computer broke down. All of our work, and we had a graduation video. We had a graduation video in edit, and it was the end of that time. That's when I learned about Sony Vegas. It was that time I only learned about Sony Vegas. Then and there, I rushed everything. I downloaded everything. I installed everything. I edited. I worked hard. I had 3 weeks of sleepless nights only for the computer to break down. And I got a stroke of good luck. All that data for graduation video was in my USB finger hard drive, USB drive, and I just had to buy. We just bought it, and at that time in Tongcheng, where the school is located, the district, the first computer or electronic shop opened, or who knows why didn't it open before? Because you had to go to the city to buy a computer or a laptop. Now, and at that time, we finally got a small laptop. And I bought a small laptop. It's a notebook. I still have it, but it's never on anymore. I mean, it's still working, but it's not on anymore. We have the laptop. Weekly, use that small notebook to finish the video. But unfortunately, I got backstabbed after 3 days of sleepless nights. That they were going to do the presentation, Form 5 presentation without the video, without my video. They backstabbed me. They said they will not use my video. So I spent all that time for nothing. The whole time I spend my whole hours in it for nothing. I was furious. The whole 5 years I've been nothing but humble, kind. They didn't like me because I hang out with my students in the school at the time. Was either half. Not either half. Was half and half. Internationals and local students. I had majority of students. I had majority of my friends were the local students. We call it local Hong Kongers, local Chinese. We call them local. I had maybe, let's say, out of a whole 368 pi, about 250% of the 360 pi was local Chinese friends, while the rest are Filipino, Pakistan, Indian, mixed, German, Russian, Switzer, Japanese, Korean. Yeah, that's the remaining part, but most of my 200 and something percent of the pie was friendly, local, born Chinese friends. Hello, Minion. You woke up, please. Then go back to sit down. I am recording my voice. Now sit down. You can sit down. Yes, sit down. Put your butt in your underwear. Burp. Yes, sit. Sit down there. Take it. I went to the and then there was that time I worked 1 year with my theater arts teacher in the school part-time, and also being a librarian assistant part-time in my school for 1 whole year because I was saving up for money for Philippines. And when I went to the Philippines, I had to leave my Nokia behind because it wouldn't work abroad. It wouldn't work outside of Hong Kong. And when I was in the Philippines, I had to buy a new phone, which is a very crappy phone. The signal works brilliantly, but it was a very, very bad phone. It was the worst. You couldn't do anything properly. You couldn't search internet. That's why people just usually call, text. It was the worst. I promise. It was the worst time I had in the Philippines with that phone. 2 years. Baby? What? Light? My phone. Okay. Off the fan. The worst 2 years of my life at the university in the Philippines, I hated it. And that phone, by the way, is a Philippine phone, so I cannot tell you exactly the name of that phone. I had to find it. It was the worst. It's the worst phone. Let's see if I can find it right now. Philippines was famous for texts and calls, so there's no smartphones during the time. Is it Vodafone? My phone? If we have iPhone right now, in the Philippines we had my phone. Exactly, my phone. But it was sold secondhand to me by my uncle. My uncle from my father's side. And I'm going to say it now because he should be caught at this moment. He should be caught. He should not be let loose. He should be caught. He's been doing this for too long. He used to let's say take other people's cell phones and resell it to other people, and I'm one included. I was resold a said stolen cell phone with the memories inside wiped out. It was in my phone. I was not proud of it. Let's see if I can find the exact brand name of this cell phone. The closest I can find. Let's see, my phone. No, it's not this one. No, my phone looks much uglier than that. I promise, my phone was the worst. It has the worst style, it has the worst memory, it has the worst functionality. But it had the best signal when receiving. Even in the worst locations, you can get a signal in this phone. Out of 3 bars, you can get even 1 bar. But other phones couldn't get a signal. Miraculously, only this cell phone could take a signal in. You know how in Manila there's like what do you call those? Slum areas. What do you call those things? Like where a slum dog lives. In the slums? I truly had one of the worst ones. But yet I had the best signal. I don't know why I had the best signal. I should not be granted the signal. I can't find the signal. I can't find the phone. you see where I'm going to. Every time I get a phone, it's always second hand. Other than that Nokia. Other than the Nokia 6230i. I have to find that something. Because I gotta commit to it. If it wasn't for that cell phone, I would not be able to live. Because the signals in the area always get cut, or it has bad signals. You have typhoons every time, you have flooding. I was fortunate that I didn't have flooding, but it was bad enough. You had bad signal every time. A bad location, bad weather. And then you have a cut signal. I was the only one with a signal, and everybody had to use a phone. My phone. To contact their family relatives in the dorm. I was in university for dorming. School dorm and public dorming? I think. But yeah, I had the cell phone and everybody kept using my phone whenever nobody has signal. Nobody can reach. And of course I get paid back in pesos. I was too nice not to overcharge. I really can't find my phone. I'm sorry, this is more than an hour talk, but I need to get through this house now before people start complaining and asking me where have I been and why am I doing anything? Not doing anything. Even though I've recorded tons and I'm not able to put out any. All because the computer crashed down on me. I'm fine. I can't find it. Where's that ugly ass cell phone? I really can't find it, can I? It is really ugly. Come on, cell phone, where are you? If being called in solitude doesn't mean you should hide. Let's face it, you're really ugly. Hello. How about that? They don't have it. They stop producing it. I tried to check the website, but it's not there anymore. My phone is between a crossbreed between Motorola style, the skinny version, and a crossbreed between my phone's MY M1. I can't tell this MY M1. I'm sorry, but it's really ugly. It's all black. The keypads were the worst. It's not in button styles. Now they have button style, but before it's not in button style. It's just grid style. So every time you press number 9, and you press number 6, press number 5, and press number 3, it's the worst. I promise. But the way you press the buttons, it was comfortable. The signal was the best, even at 1 bar, and then the place with the worst signal ever. Where other phones do not have any more signal, and I still have a signal. Yeah. So let's just look it up. And it's called My Phone, and it's in the Philippines. It was a 2008, 2009, 2008, 2009, or 2010 or 11 brand. It was ugly. I promise. It was ugly. It was the ugliest phone. The worst ugly looking phone ever. I'm now talking like that. Oh my gosh. This is not right. It's supposed to be a sad story. My aircon's so noisy, I can't hear myself. So let's just get on with the story. Forget this ugly phone business. But yeah, I had a vote sold to me by my uncle, who's illegally selling these phones. As he picked them up, I know I should be recording it, but I needed a cell phone in family, so I can't. Anybody can find them for me? Report them for me, please. I think it's my phone. Oh no, it was Cherry Mobile. Oh my god, yes, I finally remember. It was Cherry Mobile. It was ugly. It was very ugly. No wonder I couldn't find it. It was really ugly. I first, yes, I now remember the order. I first had this weird, cute little cell phone. It looks like a baby toy calculator. I promise, you find it in the Philippines, Cherry Mobile, version P for Peter, 1. You find that cell phone. It was the weirdest, cutest looking calculator cell phone you'll ever find in the Philippines. You won't find it anywhere else. It was the weirdest one you've ever found. I think they're still selling it. They're still mass producing it. What are you doing with that stick? Oh, hold the stick in front of me, minion. Ah. 1 minute later. Oh, I had that. That was the weirdest cell phone I've ever had in my life. And I remember. So I remember that phone first. But that phone had limited options in signal and in battery wise. Because when you charge, it dies. And it didn't tell me it has a short lifespan. And it was a second hand too, but it was short, the lifespan. It was really short. But it was really cute and really tiny. It's absolutely the smallest, cutest phone you'll ever have. It's like a small calculator. You wouldn't think it's a cell phone. It's like a calculator. Find it. Just find it. You can still buy it. It's so tiny. And then my uncle sold me the other cell phone, which is the next one up there, because the better signal. I still cannot find the name of it. But for goodness sakes, that small calculator was the weirdest adorablest thing you'll ever find. Back then, I don't think you could find that in any other country but the Philippines. It was so cutely weird. I was like, this is really a cell phone? It's just really cute and tiny. You wouldn't think otherwise. It's so weird. It's just really weird. I don't need that right here. If you go to the website, there's still a picture there. I swear, it is so weird. The sound was so tiny. The cherry nova. Oh, I adored it today. Excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît. I have bad manners today. I can almost find a cell phone. I know, this is me about 20 minutes finding a cell phone. But I've got to find it. It was the weirdest phone. It was the worst cell phone you can ever get. The Telcom had the best signal. Okay, I can't remember exactly which phone is it. But it's between an A17 Cherry Mobile and a V6. I think. Because the pictures here are not as accurate as it was before. Pressing buttons was the worst, but the signal was the best. Another time, I had that phone to rely on. Nothing else. No other phone to rely on but that phone. But the Cherry Mobile was still the weirdly oddest, cutest, with small tiny calculator was the oddest phone ever. I think it's still buy it somewhere else. Pakistan? So weird. So cute and weird. And then, unfortunate events happened in the Philippines. I came back, I got sent back home after 2 years in the Philippines. I gave birth to my daughter. 2 months. I returned back home to Hong Kong, and 2 months after I gave birth to my daughter. And this time I didn't know what I wanted to look for. I didn't know what to touch. I didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't know how to move forward. Because all my schooling position was stuck in the Philippines. They're still stuck there now. I don't know if it's ruined by the floods or if my auntie sold my things. I don't deserve to call her an auntie. She doesn't deserve to be called an auntie because how many times she's ripped me off out of my pocket. For so long after I gave birth and during my pregnancy, the remaining pregnancy months here in Hong Kong, I didn't know. I also didn't know I was pregnant. I never knew I was pregnant until I was 7 months already in. During the time, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know, not where to go. I still lived in my mother's house. And this house, and my parents' house. And the house, it was the house that we moved right after I finished year 5 high school and before I moved to the Philippines. We moved because the Wongkulang apparently had to renovate the whole building. It was licensed, it was expired, they had expiry time for the license for the building, and it has to be renovated. And unfortunately, all of us, 1, 2, 3 floors, had to move out. They gave us time to move out. And we moved out and finally found a place in, where's my dress for? Where the doggo?
Huh?
Where the doggo? No, okay. And finally found a place in a weird, odd, in an unknown place, village, in the whole island that not many people knew. I didn't even know. It's between, if you ever visit Hong Kong, you might try to find it. It's between Hong Kong and Shek Peak Reservoir. There's a small secluded village called Shui Hao Village. The direct translation of Shui Hao Village is water mouth. The reason it's called water mouth is because this village is like a mouth. The gap is just very small, but inside of the mouth it has a huge amount of area. And Shui Hao Village is just next to the Shek Peak Reservoir. So the beach in Shek Peak is just very shallow, halfway, until you reach halfway after it's deep. Shoo. And because it's low tide, where you can touch the ground in the deep water. But most of the time it's high tide, and it's also the heaven breeding ground of horseshoe crabs. Yes, there are horseshoe crabs in Shui Hao on Lantau Island. In Shui Hao, they range from Shui Hao to Shek Peak Reservoir. And the horseshoe crabs, they migrate and breed, hatch all over Shui Hao and Shek Peak. So if ever you come to Hong Kong when this pandemic crisis is over, and you find yourself going to Lantau and you end up in Shui Hao Beach or in Shek Peak Reservoir, and you find these small, tiny horseshoe crabs, please do not take them home with you. They are part of the breeding ground research of the extended research team from Ocean Park. They research these horseshoe crabs and study them here on Lantau Island. You don't find them anywhere else apart from the States. I think the other breeding ground in the States, let me see that, horseshoe crab States, horseshoe crab States. Why if my freaking nose itchy? Okay, it says here, they are found along the east coast of U.S. from the Gulf Coast. Found in Florida, Alabama, I can't pronounce these things. Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. You can find these there, the horseshoe crabs there in the west side of the world. The east side, horseshoe crabs only found here, Shui Hao Village, Shek Peak Reservoir in Hong Kong. Nowhere else in the Asia side. They're this small little babies. They're like the size of your watch. The face of your watch, it's like the size of that when you find them along along the beaches here on Lantau Island. Those are the cute little sizes right here on Lantau Island. Please do not bring them home. When you pick them up, you put them back in the ground in the sand. Don't bring them anywhere. They're for research for the university students and in Hong Kong park here in Hong Kong. Yeah, so we had to move. We moved to this area, and that was the very. I was really glad we found this area, because we lived on the ground floor. We had to climb up about, let's say, 30 steps. Hold on a minute. Bye bye. What was I again? We got distracted by this mailman. The delivery service. Ah, man. Yeah, we found this there's this place for rent on the ground floor. It was the last biggest place we rent out. And they're letting it out for about 3,500 Hong Kong dollars per month. Because before we moved to that house, the place we rented at by Wongkulang, she let us pay about $2,500 per month. It's considered cheap already, really cheap. If you go to the city, it goes about 11,000, 12,000, 15,000 for one person rent, one person place. And we're talking about a whole family here. And it was just before I moved to the Philippines to study. We moved to this house, $3,500 Hong Kong. It was big. And we had a huge front space. We can't call it front yard because there was no grass. There's just sectioned off by a big fence. And the ground floor, and our flat, oh my god, it was so big. We had the ground floor to ourselves, so we can thump our feet as much as loud as we want. We can walk around, I don't know how, we put our old flat in Creole. That whole flat in Creole was the size of the living room in Shui Hao. And we had 3 bedrooms. We had it big. But unfortunately, we still have to make one room as a storage room, and we still have to separate. We still have to share the same bedroom. But yes, my sister couldn't display any anime figures in the old bedroom of ours because we shared it. And this time, no bunk bed. No bunk bed, because the last bunk bed broke during the move. And my parents have the other one, which is the bigger one. So, yeah. We're still a little weird. Couldn't hide anything. Our computer was upgraded again. This time we finally had internet connection, but we had to pay internet bills, and that was the hardest part. We hated it. We hate the internet paying part. Because it's not every time we actually use the internet, but we have to pay regardless. And it's counted by how much you use the internet, not how long. It's not per month. But it's how much you use the internet. It's counted. So sometimes our bills goes from 100 to 200 to 500 to 1,000. For unknown reason, it went up to 1,000. It's not reasonable. It's not reasonable. When we were told that we can only just pay 100 something per month. But for some reason, we had to end up paying 1,000 at one point in that month. All because we had to do research. My sister and I used the computer for research. And I was working part-time. I just finished year 5 and I was working part-time for my teacher in school. And when I came back, after I came back from the Philippines, I gave birth, and then I didn't know what to do. I was still not a big fan of using the computer for watching, for doing anything else. And then, if it wasn't for, I have to give credit to this guy. If it didn't exist, I wouldn't be motivated to where I am today. Markiplier. I found this guy, Markiplier, before my daughter was born. Now, PewDiePie was already spread out in YouTube at this time. But he was still in the kitchen of his home. He was still recording in the kitchen of his home at this time. And Markiplier was also just starting out too. And when I found him, he was in what is Top Hunt. PewDiePie was playing against PewDiePie was in Markiplier, Mix, and Fry. I forgot. The best times. The thing with PewDiePie, Ken, Mix, Fry, got it. They were still not yet in the 1 million subscribers. It was those early days, and I had PewDiePie, but I never subscribed. I didn't have an account because I didn't think I'd use an account. I didn't think I'd make one because I lost all hope in YouTube. I lost all hope in faith in humanity. I even only made a Facebook account after I graduated high school, just so I can just connect with my friends, just add them in there, but I never use it. There was not much games before. In the beginning there was like a cafe, what do you call it? Cafe City, Restaurant City, all those games. But I never got to play with it. I only got in Mouse Hunt and Fish Wrangler. And I'm still on it today. I'm still on it until this day. Facebook. Mouse Hunt and Fish Wrangler. Back then there was all these weird cute cafes, Restaurant City. These games were so cute. I played one or two. But it's after I saw these people on YouTube with their prop art thingy, and I was attracted to Markiplier in general. PewDiePie was the one I heard first, but I wasn't solid about this guy. It's only until I watched Markiplier and I started, because I was going through postpartum depression, postnatal. I think it's postnatal depression, because I'm not very good with words, and the hospital was not very good at explanation either. They were never very good at explaining things when it comes to medical things. I missed out half the things I actually needed to understand to survive. I was missing out on a lot of information. When I gave birth to my daughter, I didn't know what am I supposed to do after, because I had to have stitches. I didn't have a C-section, but I had stitches down there. But I had to have the C-section, and then I didn't have C-section. I had the stitches, and I still had, I think, what do you call leftover. I still had something left over inside. I didn't have to get rid of that. Nobody had an idea for me. And you know, when you give birth, ladies, when you give birth, your pelvic bone opens, especially in the back, right? So, and there's always there's ways to try and close it back. They say exercise, they say massage, they say over time will just close back on its own. No, I did not have mine closed back on its own. I did not get a massage. You couldn't find a person that could do the massage here. And so I'm stuck with a very painful I'm still stuck with a very painful open backbone, hip bone. As if I just gave birth 5 seconds ago. I couldn't run properly. Heck, I can't even work. I can't even lose weight properly. Until now, I still cannot lose weight. My daughter's 8 years old. I still cannot lose weight. Just because I couldn't close this bone. You have multiple kinds of massages, but not the kind that you get. Not the kind that you need to close this bone. And I still have not closed this bone. And it was during this time that I found Markiplier, and I found YouTube. I found that you can play games, and you can get entertained, and people play games to entertain people. And it is later on I also found out that you earn money for YouTube to entertain people. Or is it that way around? You play games to entertain, but later you're rewarded with money. There was no way I would have found them out if I didn't curiously had a phone in my hand. I had no phone at that time when I came back to Hong Kong. I had to borrow somebody's phone. And the best they could do was buy me again, not a second-hand phone, but a third-hand, fourth-hand phone. I always get stuck with those phone phones, but I don't remember exactly what phone that was because I was still upset. I didn't like buying iPhone either because our computer kept shutting down, and what's the point? I have to keep rebooting again. And then it was at this time, I love you. You stink. It's very loud. So this time that I found YouTube and Markiplier. Markiplier was still at 600,000 views. Subscribers, I think. What was that video? I found him when he made that video where he was playing a fan-made game, and it was about 1 hour long. Okay, watch. Yeah, the fan-made game called Rikers of Fears. I found him through this video, or at least one video before this one. I can't remember. There was a video before this. I was watching Pop Hunt also. Hey, excuse me, it's not good of us. I was watching Rikers of Fears, and then okay, I woke up. I should not be sad. I should start walking, because I'm just an emotionless person with a crying baby in the house while my parents and my sister are all working and studying. I should start waking up. And I left to deal with this consequence. I have a daughter in my hand, or sleeping in the bed. I was sharing the room with my mother. My father slept outside on the sofa, so I could sleep in the room with my mother. My sister had the room all to herself, even though my things were still in her room. I slept next to the wall. We didn't buy a baby crib. It's very hard. It's very expensive to buy a crib, and it's very hard to bring one. But you have to take the bus, and they don't allow big cargo on the bus. Even groceries was hard enough to carry onto the bus, so they're not allowed to bring a trolley onto a bus. Back then, and I found Markiplier. That's how you had the motivation to start discovering myself. Discovering my butt. Hello. Go back to that SpongeBob, yeah?
Run.
Okay, the art ninja.
No. No. Don't need us here.
Okay. And back to the story. Okay, I can't go back to school because I have a kid. They will not accept me. And it's too late already to even apply for school because all my report card, all my documents, all my data stuck in the Philippines. They will not send them back because they hate me. Apparently, they don't like students enough. They will not send back the report. You'll have to pay extra. And you have to go fly back over there to get it in person. You can't ask somebody to get it for you. So, this is the number one reason why I hated the idea of going to the Philippines to study. I knew the treatment would be bad because I'm a Filipino who speaks English and doesn't know Filipino, or had bad Filipino. I had a basic understanding of Filipino words and the language, but I still considered a beginner. They will not help me. Even if they did have 1 hour time of helping me, finding somebody to teach me, they just gave me the book, told me to read it, and they'll go onto their phone and read and do something on social media. I was not given the best tutors, I was not given the best time. And so, I had nothing. So I started with absolutely nothing. I learned everything I could on the computer. I learned how to do YouTube. I learned how to make videos. I learned how to record. I learned which games can be played, which games can be played on a computer, which games can be played and not allowed to be shown on a computer because you're afraid of 18 or something like that. A kids audience, a children audience in mind, and the language in mind. But there was no restrictions. There was no no-nos. There was no negatives. Any music can be used on the computer. Can be used in intros, outros. Anything could be used at that time. I was learning everything from GIFs to Adobe to Photoshop to Windows Vegas. What was the other one? Video. Oh god, I'm forgetting many things. Wondershare? I think so, later. Yeah, Wondershare. I learned how to use all these things. I even learned how to use Bandicam. I learned how to use mic. I learned how to put that earphone. I even had to learn how to that you can add memory, external memory. You can add Dropbox, Dropbox, even though it's basically useless. It's like how much of memory, and I cannot put all of it in one go. You have to pay every month just to have a bigger amount of memory of Dropbox. I learned everything. I made everything. I started even what do you know those games? RPG games. I even started making little RPG characters of Cedric in my channel image of myself. Even in real life, I'm really big, but right there soon. I'm sorry, I have to change that. I'll have to change that when I finally upgrade my C4D, Cinematic 4D. I learned everything. And I learned that I really had to buy the games to be able to play it and install it and record. And at the time, I don't have income, and my parents cannot afford to buy games. We were able to just, fortunately, able to buy a better computer. Somehow. And it was then I learned, okay, let's try something else. I started learning how to I started seeing people doing nail polish videos. I think I have one or two or a couple in my old channel or in the early days. It was bad. I promise it's bad. I learned how to do nail polish. It was so bad. I didn't have the perfect fingers to do nail polish thing. I didn't have the artistic handicraft to do nail polish. I'm very good in doing art projects, scrapbooking. I never got to finish one. Scrapbooking, sketching, cross stitching. I have cross stitched a lot of things here, but I never put it up. I never pictured it. I can sketch only with pencil. I hate sketching and then coloring. I hate coloring. I love sketching pencil, but I hate coloring. Then I learned how to use Photoshop. I learned how you can do GIFs. RPG characters in Photoshop. You can see all those early days of my videos, and if you go to my DeviantArt, you can see all my early days of my work right there. And then I still had old stories in the old drive that I can use to type out and put up FanFiction. I still have them on FanFiction, but I never finished it. Because I'm still in writing, because I don't have, half of the time my brain is half blocked. When I finally have an idea, I type in the first sentence, I suddenly have a memory block. Story block, cut off. Oh, I have the whole cinematic there in my head, but the words to put it up on the paper, on the text, it's not working. I will never be able to finish it if I keep doing that. And then I had to deal with so many new things too. First of all, I finally kicked out my dad out of the house. I'm not gonna say the reason why, but it's really bad. I had to kick him out. And I didn't know that we were still applying for government housing. You have to be qualified in some certain specific areas, then you can be able to move into government housing. The income should not be more than 20,000 whole family, and you shouldn't have any hidden income in the hidden backup money in any bank account, whether here or in the Philippines. So the background check it, background checks locally and internationally. It's funny when my daughter was like kindergarten, when she's just finishing kindergarten 2. My daughter was not happy in the kindergarten in the High-O area. Because most of the students, little kids there, kindergarten students there, are all rich people. Rich foreigners, rich Chinese people, rich local people. My daughter was the only one in her class that was under government scheme funding subsidy. And she's the youngest in the batch. But nobody wants to teach a young kid. And no teachers here in Hong Kong hates teaching kids who are born on December. Because that means they're the youngest and they're the slowest to catch up on studying. My daughter was born on December 1. And it's sad. Every time she comes home, she doesn't want to go to school. Saying, "Mother, I don't like. I'm always thinking in the back. She got English properly. She got word properly. Even her Chinese language, she didn't learn a single thing. The only thing she learned is do. Because she had a friend there. A friend there. He's the only one who's playing with her. Always calling her do. So my daughter would not say anything other than the words do. They're so shy. and for some reason she ended up swallowing inheriting British accent in kindergarten. And when we finally got our application for housing towards the end of her second year in kindergarten, accepted. We went over the moon. We were celebrating. Celebrating with joy. We could finally move out. Because we were suddenly raising the rent payment year, like every few years. And it was finally getting important. We almost couldn't pay anymore. We went from 3,500 per month and suddenly it went to 5,500. Sure, it's still too cheap. I could not afford it anymore. Because my mother was paying everything. My father at this time was not paying for anything. She paid food, she paid gas, she paid water, paid everything. My father did not contribute to anything. And look out. Finally moved to here at home. Once again, the computer crashed at this time. At that time, I had memories backed up. We moved here. We got a new set computer after about 6 months or something. Got a new set computer. But we had someone else to assemble it for us. And it's still working beautifully. We didn't spend more than 1,000, 2,000, that's it. 2,000 something. I think 3,000 max. It's still working great. This is the best. This is another friend who assembled this thing for us. It's the best so far. I have no problems with this. The speed with this computer is really good. I don't have any hiccups. Like, no matter how much information or how much data you put in this computer, it will not slow down, it will not crash. I love it. I love this computer so much. And I'm gonna jinx myself in the 2 days later and start crashing. So please don't. I love you so much. And the final here, which is as of what's it, 4 years now, I think. 4 years now. And I saved up a lot. I saved up 2,000 something, 2,500 for a special offer when I saw 6 months later. After they finished, after my friend assembled this computer, I saw an offer on the internet for a book, a memory book. They call it book. They call it here book. I don't know why it's called book. Box. Okay. What do you call this here? My book. You call it here on the internet. I'm looking at it right now. You call it my book. My book desktop hard drive. And I saw it on the internet, which is normally about $5,000 for an 8 terabyte size. Normally it's about $5,000, 8 terabytes back then, which is about 4 years ago. And I saw one on a big sale for about 2,500. Of course, I went to grab it immediately. We had backup money at that time. I was so happy. We finally got this TV, 8 TV book worth 8 TV memory. You can imagine my happy face, my joy, just from hearing a big memory could be in my hands just with the payments grass. And for that, until 3 weeks ago, we had that book. I kept putting things because I was there. I was sure that it will not crash on me because it's a memory book and it's not a computer and it will not crash on me. It will not break down. So I kept storing all past memories from our old hard drives into this one. So all were more than 10 years of memory and new memories and all movies and new music, all documents, new documents, important things stuck into this drive, into this 8 TB of memory worth the hard drive. Everything is all in here. Everything, even my recordings, even my games, some of the games I separated into the computer drive and this TB book drive, this 8 TB book drive. So, and up to 3 weeks ago, for some reason I was just about to start writing another page. I was doing a FanFiction page on Team Fortress, TF2, Cedric from Sofia the First, and John Silver from Treasure Planet. I was writing these stories. I was pouring my heart out. I was doing also Donnie's Menagerie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fanfiction, Donnie's Menagerie. I was in World of Cars, Hornet Hudson, Tom Bay, World of Cars, Tom Bay. Did you watch Cars 2? You know that chase scene where Flynn... excuse my nose, it's up the cheek. Oh my goodness. Then Finn, you know that chase scene where Finn McMissile was chasing a 3-wheeled car in the middle of the movie, in the middle of the market in Paris, and stops and then hides in the middle of the where is this again? In an alleyway in the market in France, and the movie too, and then Tom Bear. I'm doing Tom Bay. I'm doing a fanfiction on Tom Bay. I had a lot of stories written up still in the box. I still have my old fanfiction stories, unwritten, unfinished, still in the box. 3 weeks ago, I could not access the file. I could not access the music files. I couldn't access the videos. I couldn't access my daughter's old videos, which are still small. I couldn't access the photos, which was still a baby, which was still learning how to crawl. I couldn't access it. I thought maybe it was plugged. Just got loose. Okay, I on off the plugs. I wasn't reading. I thought maybe the USB cable got loose in the back. I replugged it and plugged back. I changed the cables. I had spare cables. Wouldn't check. Wouldn't read. I started panicking. It was at this moment my heart started sinking. Again. It's hard enough I lost memories. Just the computers before, not many times already. I was panicking. All of more than 10 years data, memories, even from when I had photos of my high school years. In this box. I had them all in this box. I never had a backup for this box. because it's expensive enough to buy one box. And we sacrifice a lot of our money into paying bills. We still have credit bills to pay. It's still not finished. And we cannot spend for another box. This is why I'm so invested into this box. Just a couple of days ago, they thought they had it fixed that just by changing the plug, the power socket cable, that'll be okay, it'll be able to be read. And they told me to try and read it at home. I came back as quickly as before. I tried to plug it in. It wasn't reading. It was then I knew that everything would be on this line. Everything, I would lose everything from this box. I would lose it all. I went quickly back to the shop before, like 1 hour before, 30 minutes before closing time. The guy was generous enough to stay open still for me. Even as he passed 9 o'clock, because 9 o'clock was his closing time. And we already knew the government is going to start forcing a ban having extended hours, the shop or extending opening hours. Like asking shops to cut down their opening hours. Two weeks I couldn't do a video. 2 weeks I couldn't do any movie. I had just been finishing the draft of Kings and Queens AMV for Sofia the First. And I was about to finish. I was about to do all the subtitling, all the wordings, those effects. Everything was saved on that box. Half of my games was also saved in the box. Half of my recordings of the games were saved in that box. The one fear I had when I was thinking about becoming a small YouTuber was that I would lose memory. I would lose my box memory again. And it's happened. Again. I lost it in that box. I don't want to think so negatively, but it's as if fate, as if I'm not meant to do a YouTube. Because every time I finally get into a steady pace doing my work, it crashes. Randomly gets crashed. I'm not able to save the drive. Well, the data is still there. It hasn't been wiped out. But if I really want to save the data of the drive, I have to pay. When I saw that it's just replaced the plug, I just paid $120 for the plug. Okay. But if I want to save the device entirely, the whole box, They said it would cost at least 10,000 Hong Kong dollars. 10,000 Hong Kong dollars is not a small number. It's the same amount as the Hong Kong $10,000 scheme. $10,000. Is equivalent to 1,000. I'm going to convert this from Hong Kong dollar to US dollars. 10,000 Hong Kong dollars is equivalent to 1,290 US dollars as of July 30, 2020. On the Google currency conversion, cryptocurrency. That is not a cheap amount. $10,000 to save a drive, and it takes 2 months to save it. My fear is, where do I get the money? $10,000 is not cheap to save. My mother's salary is not high enough. My sister only just got her job, and both of them together are only enough to pay the bills in this house: the rent, the electricity, the water. The food. You don't know how much it costs to survive a month in Hong Kong. Sure, we live in a government house, but we still have to pay a lot of things. The food alone, food is almost the same amount as we're paying a rent for a month. And electricity and water together is almost one whole rent. And then we still have to credit. They're more than the rent. You have both of my mother and my sister's salaries together. There's nothing left to save. We're just paying everything exactly. We have nothing left to save. In a couple of months, my daughter will be in primary 4. For some reason, the school is saying you have 4 primary school children from primary 4 to primary 6. All students has to have their own iPad. I don't even have a part-time job anymore. I used to have a part-time job in my daughter's school, a tutor assistant, 60 per hour, and I only work 1 hour and a half per day. And it's 4 days a week. So it's like 90 a day. So I'm getting a 1,440 part-time in a month. That's really small. I couldn't apply anywhere else because I'm underqualified. I don't have job experiences. Because I've been a mom, single household, homemaker, housewife. 8 years of my life. For 8 years. I don't have other job experience. And I've only been working part-time to tutor for about 2 years. 3 months, since October to December, before the outbreak. In the 1 month, there was only 1 month I was full, and in October I only had 1 week. Hello. Oh, good. Started feeding me chips. Only these 3 months part-time, or let's say 1 month and 3 weeks, or 2 weeks, okay. I've only earned up to 2,520, and I don't have it anymore because it was all used for buying medical supplies, for masks, for pills. When my mother's salary had lowered down because not many people are coming through the airport anymore. My mother is now working as a wheelchair passenger agent. Meaning she gets passengers that walk, and she has to push them in a wheelchair from the airplane to the exit, to the border, I think. No, the carousel where the luggage goes through, and then the exit departure area or arrival area. She has to sometimes go out to the bus station and taxi station. Stop. It's reduced since the pandemic. My sister has not had her job since September, and only just last week she had a job. She finally had a job, but it's dangerous. It's cleaning. She's a cleaning staff in the airport right now, so she's cleaning every inch of the one whole area. I think it's an arrival hall in the Hong Kong airport from 3 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Doing afternoon to 12 o'clock in the evening. We're doing that every day. So far she has only 1 holiday, and that was last Monday. My mother is struggling from her salary is down now, reduced from, let's say, from 13,000. I don't even know exactly what her exact salary, because her salary is just coming in chop. It's never one go in one day. It's usually chop. And now it's been reduced down to 7,000. And that's not enough. We've even applied for funding, scheme funding, food bank, scheme, rental assistance. I've applied for everything. I've applied for every single assistance funding I could ever think of. Even the government funding money that giving the 10,000 scheme, $10,000 scheme for each person who is above 18 years old. We're almost finished on that. I've only got like 3,000 left, and that's to hold on to my daughter's uniform. I don't hold on to my daughter's uniform. She's already outgrown her uniform. She's had her primary uniform since first year, primary 1. So primary 3, she's ready to primary 4 this September, and I have to buy her uniform. She's already outgrown her uniforms. Can't even buy her underwear. I'm just giving her all my every time we need to buy her clothes, we buy her clothes. We buy her clothes. We buy her the clothes that she needs when absolutely necessary. For us, for myself, I'm using clothes that I still had from 2004. I remember because those are the clothes I remember buying during 2004. But some of them don't fit me anymore. And it's expensive to buy size XXL. Expensive. So I'm reduced to buying clothes that normally in the circle stores. And they're about $10, $20 Hong Kong. Only on really special occasions we will try and buy clothes a little bit more pricey, but 500 is our max per clothes, per item. And usually we spend only about up to 800, 1,000. That's a max. Everything else is heavily invested on bills, food, water. I'll do anything. And if I were to save up for this to restore this brain, I have only 50-50 chance that the data of this brain can be saved. I can't. I don't know what other way is there to save this brain. Everything I've done is on this book brain. If I were to lose this, I will be absolutely devastated. I was already upset when I got the news that I cannot save it anymore. I was holding on. My heart was so heavy. I was holding on to my feelings. I was holding on. Okay, I don't have to cry. It's just a piece of technology, piece of tech that got broken. It's worth. All my memories are there. All my hard work is there. I don't have to restart over again. It takes a long time. And what if by the time I manage to get all the resources I need? Will the next memory box also be broken? Will it also become destroyed? Will it also suddenly have no more power and I'll have to find a shop again and say, sorry, the wire is broken. Oh, sorry, you couldn't have your memory box fixed again. You have to send it back to another lab again. I don't want that to happen. But I really can't do anything about that. I'm thankful some of the games I've been recording are still here. But most of my other games are in that book box. Like, the Sermon Files, it's in that book box. I've recorded about 3 episodes, long episodes, and it's just stuck in that book box. I was about to upload them too, but I just didn't have the time. I was so tired of looking for funding resources to get masks. Because when the first outbreak was announced, everyone had thought, each person had bought most masks. I was just lucky enough that during the week of Christmas, yes, during the week of Christmas, you don't celebrate it, because I just have to say it, because I don't know what other words to say it, considering the holiday days of December. But during the week of the Christmas day, I had happened to just buy one box, 50 pieces of face masks for my daughter under $10. It's suspicious, I don't know. But I needed a box because my daughter at the time was coughing from fever. And it's very it's very rude if you don't have a face mask on and there's just a simple cough. Then there's no problem. And people will start bringing it, even if it's a child here in Hong Kong. So I was having to buy one box for about $10 face mask, 50 pieces, charcoal filtered face mask for a child. Then the next thing I knew, an outbreak went, and everybody is buying face masks off the shelves. It's gone. I didn't have a way to have face masks. My mother had just got face masks only from the airport. And my sister had also backup face masks, but she has only about 10 pieces left. My daughter had face masks, but she didn't have to go a lot of the time because it was during Christmas holiday. I was left with those face masks. So I immediately on the first day, and as I did before during SARS, I did the one stupid thing that concluded this. I used my old nursing bra as a face mask. At that time, there was no video yet on using a face mask. Using a bra as a substitute for a face mask. There was no video, no instruction, no way Jose that anybody said you can use a bra for a face mask. Because they said mask first. Mask. Must be hospital approved mask. But since the beginning, I've always used bra masks, and people looked at me like I was an idiot. And I told them, what is this made out of? Because they were asking me, oh, this girl has a cool black mask on. Where can we buy it? Where did she get it? You should have to ask her. They all did my thing. And as soon as they asked me, I said, it's a bra. It's my old nursing bra. They ran away from me. Like they ran straight, gave me a gap of 5 feet. I wasn't embarrassed. I wasn't ashamed. I just said I needed a face mask, but there's no one selling face masks. Even Manning's here, a retail store, Manning's 7-Eleven, they're all out. So what could I do? I have to use a face mask. It's either that or I don't go out. But I have to go out because I have to do groceries. My mother is working. My sister is also out of work, but she has chronic, and she's at high risk of getting infected. She has chronic disease. So, face mask, bra face mask is the way to go on. And in a month after that, people started uploading the Facebook mask, Facebook, mask after mask, DIY. I'm sure somebody must have seen my face mask and thought, hey, I can do that too. And they started doing their own video and upload it. And go. I've had face masks, this bra face mask for the longest time, since SARS. And since then, community groups around the area here has been generous enough to give us face mask after face mask after face mask. You know that blessings come. So we bought Korean masks from somebody who managed to get an order before the lockdown of ordering face masks from other places like Korea. And she managed to buy 100 pieces, and she shared with my mom 25 pieces. Only that batch, 1/4 of face masks we paid. And ever since then, we've been given face masks by donations, charities, social groups around the area here. So We've been blessed to have face masks. Even sanitizers. We bought the last 4 small safeguard safeguard hand sanitizers. It's a really small one. It smells like soap. Because it smells like a sanitizer product. It's a small soap-scented hand sanitizer. It smells nice. It doesn't sting your hand as an regular sanitizer does. It hurts the other ones. Because my hands is very sensitive. My face is sensitive as well. My face, I'm not allowed to put makeup products on my face. Because I have makeup allergy, I think. I never got it proven. Sadly, I never got the doctor proven, but they don't know also what's the cause of my allergy. There are 4 small bottles of hand sanitizer and miraculously large amounts of sanitizer come in from donations, organizations. I know. But then,
Almost 3 hours.
is that water? Almost 3 hours now I'm talking. But so and also our bills still never stop despite this pandemic. So and my mother's salary has been going down and down and down and down. Blessings have been coming in and going. Even food donations still coming in to go still receiving food donations or food bank organization. Now I just need to find out how to save this memory box. I cannot find a miracle to find an organization to fix this memory box. I cannot work because nobody will look after my daughter. If my mother quits her job now, she will not be able to receive her MPF funding. When she comes to retirement age, and she's almost at retirement age. My sister just started her work. And I have a problem. I have problems with buying my daughter an iPad for school, for buying uniform. Now the main box. It might take me another couple of years before I can finally restore this memory box. Finally save 10,000 just to get all the memory and data back. But I don't know if I'll be able to post videos again. I'm already hurt enough. I don't want to pay $10,000. Wait 2 months just to hear that I will not be able to restore my memory box. I have no other option. So So until I can finally get it fixed, I don't think I'll be able to upload again. some time. I had to wait 3 years just to get the box fixed, the computer fixed. I was hesitating on uploading it. Should I upload it? Okay. No, I'll have time again. It's as if the internet world hates me. I'm even trying to attempt to upload videos. Doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem fair in my case. Ow.
Standing together as a team before winning the game. Alright then. Hold on, it's 4-bit. Automatic win for the Red Devils.
I don't think I can even save 10,000. Just to save $11.
This was the craziest year for I've played. But it was also the best.
I just let you have a chance to play the Red Devil.
Unless I know somebody who knows how to save this box for me, guaranteed to save the box for me. The memory will take on everything in it. I don't think I'll be able to come back to me.
You got it. With the bump, I guess that's capability. It's too bad they're not.
Wait. Maybe it can happen.
Alright, the unofficial plans are on, already?
Oh yeah. Alright. And you choose Tails.
And we're busted.
Of course we were.
You can't do this without the lights on.
Yo, Devil, you think you can hit a cool dog?
Great, Nelson.
I always do.
Doesn't seem fair. Every time this happens. So it's basically that. After I can finally get this brain fix. Nothing will get updated. Nothing is safe anymore. Nothing.
3 hours.
So, I'll try to do what I can.
So the cat is open.
I'll try to do what I can. But I can't guarantee I'll come back successfully. Can't guarantee that can't guarantee I'll come back. But everything's still
Ow!
nothing to say. Oh, sorry, I talked so long time. I thought I was going to talk 15 minutes, but apparently I'm not really planning on this speech. So, I'll be out of commission again. Maybe I might be out of commission in 3 years again. But when I come back, I'll come back. Oh, who's? It won't be the last of me either. So unless you know how to help me with this, I don't think I'll be able to continue anytime soon. Thank you so much for listening. Until then, this is not me. Until the day I can finally come back, this is Natnarf signing off. Thank you for supporting me. Even the one person is watching. Until next time, bye bye.